Hey everybody! So we are continuing along with our season previews for all 31 NHL teams, and today we're going to talk about the Florida Panthers. Before we get into the video, I just quickly want to say that if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and follow along for all the hockey content all year long. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the like button. That really helps out with the channel a lot and is greatly appreciated. So the Florida Panthers, obviously a team with some great players on it, a very talented team, and a team that we continue to expect a lot from, but really has never lived up to those expectations, at least in the last few years. They missed the playoffs once again last year, really in a season that I think a lot of people going in expected Florida to be much closer to a playoff team than what they were. And once again this season, I am expecting Florida to be a playoff team. I think it's time, enough with the excuses. It's time for this team to show up, and it's time for this team to make a playoff run. The talent is there. The roster is there. There's no reason why this team should not be right up there with the Boston and Torontos and Tampa Bays of that division and competing for a playoff spot and potentially a deep playoff run. I mean, they've got some incredibly talented players. It's time to put it together. And now, for one of the biggest things that was holding them back was goaltending, and now they have a legit elite goaltender on the team with the addition of Sergei Bobrovsky. There are no more excuses for this team. It's time to put up or shut up if you're the Florida Panthers. So let's take a look at the projected lineup here. Now, I used a combination of cap-friendly depth charts and daily face-off depth charts to put this lineup together. So, you know, don't take it too, especially the forward groups. There are some spots here that I think guys could be moved around. But, and second line right wing, I'll talk about that. I have a question mark. I have Owen Tippett in there right now, thinking that he could potentially make this team out of camp. Former first-round draft pick, somebody that I think that's kind of a hole in this lineup at this point is the second line right wing. You know, Frank Vatrano could end up there. Tippett could win that spot. There are a number of guys they could put there, but we'll talk about that more when we get there, but let's take a look. This is a pretty darn good team on paper, to say the least. Top line, Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov, and Evgeny Dadonov. Just fantastic top line there. Multiple guys capable of scoring a point per game or more. Barkov, I think, is one of the most underrated players in the entire NHL and one of the best players in the NHL. Huberdeau continues to produce at a high level, 30-goal level. And Dadonov, I think, can easily be a 30-goal scorer. So fantastic, lethal top line there that they're going to get a lot of offense out of. Second line, Mike Hoffman, Vincent Trocheck, and I have Owen Tippett slotted in on that right side now with a question mark. That could potentially be Frank Vatrano. Maybe Brett Connolly, if they're really, that's kind of a stretch in my mind. I think Connolly's much more of a third-line player than a second-line player. But, you know, that's kind of one area for this team going into training camp where I think it might be up for grabs. There might be a roster spot there up for grabs for somebody to take. So based on him being a top 10 NHL pick, I have Tippett in there now, which drops Vatrano down to the third line with Borgstrom and Brett Connolly, which, honestly, that makes up a pretty darn good third line as well. And with Vatrano and Connolly on the wings, you've got some potential goal scoring there on that third line. And that leaves the fourth line, Colton Seaver, who's been in Florida for a couple of years now, newly acquired in free agency, Noel Acciari, and Dennis Malgin rounding out your fourth line. This forward group can be lethal. This is the kind of forward group on paper that should score a lot of goals this year. I mean, their top six is absolutely outstanding. They have a killer 1-2 punch down the middle with Barkov and Trocheck. I mean, absolutely killer down the middle with those two. You've got potential 30 goal scorers all over the place. Huberdeau could score 30. Dadonov could score 30. Barkov could score 30. Hoffman could score 30. Yeah, I mean, you could see some big-time offensive production out of this team. Like I said, you've got, two guys who can score 20 goals in a season on your third line. If Vetrano and Connolly both play third line, that's two 20-goal guys down in your bottom six. That is also really good. This team should not have a problem scoring. Moving on to the defense, I think these defense pairs, these were a little bit easier to put together. They're pretty much set, I think. Your top pair is Keith Yandle and Aaron Ekblad. Very good top pair there, or can be a very good top pair there. Yandle obviously puts up a ton of points. Ekblad, still only 23 years old, even though it feels like he's been around forever. Just a really good two-way player. He'll score double-digit goals, and he'll also play well defensively. Big guy too. So, you kind of have the future of the franchise defensively in Aaron Ekblad there. You've got a very solid veteran offensive defenseman next to him in Keith Yandle. That should be a good top pair. Second pair, Mike Matheson and Anton Strawmen. They brought in Strawmen from the Tampa Bay Lightning in free agency. Now, Anton Strawmen certainly is not the player he was when he played for the New York Rangers or when he went to Tampa Bay in free agency. However, he is, still a solid veteran defenseman to have on that, on your middle pair like that. And he'll, I think, bring some defensive stability to this team that maybe they didn't have last year. And I think he does make their defense core better. And then the bottom pair, Mark Pysyk and Mac Weegar, pretty typical bottom pair there. Weegar brings some good toughness. He's not afraid to drop the gloves or throw his weight around. He's a pretty tough kid. And then Pysyk is, a decent bottom pair guy, but not much more than that. Goaltending, Sergei Bobrovsky. He was their huge free agent deal. Sergei Bobrovsky coming over from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Absolutely massive contract, $10 million a year. He's an elite goaltender in the NHL, and they finally, now after having Reimer and Luongo be the duo the last couple of years, which hadn't really worked out that well, they finally now have a legitimate top-end starting NHL goalie. And I think should make a huge difference. That's going to be the difference between them being an 82, 84-point team and being a 98, 100-point team this season. I think goaltending makes that much of a difference. And if Bobrovsky plays the way that he's shown he can, then that should put this team over the edge and make them a playoff contender. Right now, both websites have the backup listed as Samuel Montembeault. I don't know anything about him. He's 22 years old, but I really don't know anything about him. So he's listed as the backup now. We'll see how, if he retains that job throughout the preseason and camp. Looking at their goaltending depth, it probably looks like he will. But we'll have to wait and see. They are going to heavily rely on Bobrovsky this year. I would not be surprised to see Bobrovsky play like 65 games maybe, and that's a lot for a starting goaltender. But they are going to heavily rely on Bobrovsky to take this team to the playoffs. I mean, that's what they got him for. If you're going to go out in free agency and give a goaltender $10 million a year, you have to rely on him like that, and he has to perform at an elite level. And I think they're going to, give it to Bobrovsky and say, "This is your team. Take us to the playoffs." And so for extra forwards, we have Jace Howerluck, Dryden Hunt, and Dominic Toninato as potential extra forwards who could come in when guys are injured and or potentially take a roster spot out of training camp. Defensively, I think Ian McCoshen will probably be your number 7 heading into the season. He'll be your healthy scratch defenseman. And then Josh Brown, he's kind of a borderline AHL, NHL guy. He played some NHL games last year, a decent amount actually, 37 last season. he'll probably be number 8 in the depth chart if somebody gets injured and they need a call up. But overall, this is a very good lineup in my mind. Certainly plenty of offense to score goals. The defense is good. It's not great. It's not a shutdown defensive type defense core. But I think with the offense that they're going to have, it should be enough for there should be enough there defensively for them to, still win games and get by. And then obviously Sergei Bobrovsky, the huge offseason addition in goal. This is a team that I am fully expecting to make the playoffs this year, and if they don't, it's going to be a huge, huge disappointment. And I haven't even mentioned this yet, but Joel Quenneville is the coach. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking about the roster so much. Joel Quenneville from Chicago, three-time Stanley Cup champion with Chicago. That's another edge that they have that they didn't last season. And this team is, at this point, for me, is fully out of excuses. It is time to win and win now. The roster is there, the talent is there, the coach is there, the goaltending is now there. Florida, you have to show me something this season. Make the playoffs. I think they will. They certainly should with this lineup. They're going to be a fun team to watch, and we'll see if they can do it or not. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the comment section below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.